Namaskar. Dear students, today let us learn about the population in India. India is one of the most populous countries of the world. It is important to know how many people live in a country and whether the number is increasing or decreasing. The word population refers to the total number of people living in a country or region. For every practical purpose, the value of total population is needed. How well a government serves its people also depends partly on how many people are there and how dense in an area in which they live in. It is also important to know how many people are in each age group. Younger people will need educational facilities, healthcare and recreation avenues. Social security may be more important to older people. Business prospects, opportunities for job trades and commerce and even crime rates are influenced by the size of the population. Population is the total number of people living in a geographical area at a particular time. People who belong to a population are both the producers and the consumers of goods and services. The importance of studying population is mainly to estimate the total manpower which is present for production and the total amount of goods and services to be consumed by them. With 1.21 billion people, India has become the world's second largest country. India crossed the 1 billion mark in the year 2000. It is one of the promising countries with a huge potential of natural and human resources. Analyzing the population of India in a part of geographic studies, hence in this episode, the following aspects are going to be seen. The census and the population growth, current population of India, factors determining population change, population projections and national population policy. The first aspect of this topic is the census and the population growth. A census of population is the process of counting the inhabitants of a defined area, compiling the figures and transforming the figures into useful facts, statistics and maps. Most of the countries take census of population at regular or nearly regular intervals. The officials belong to census department visit each and every household and collect the primary data by asking questions and filling up the census forms about each and every person. The data collected about each and every individual is kept confidential and safe. The census is a primary source of population statistics. Population statistics can be used in many ways. It can serve as a basic tool of the science of demography, the statistical analysis and study of population. Accurate population figures are required to plan immigration policies, public health programs, advertising and marketing campaigns, and many other public and private activities. Generally, a census is conducted every 10th year. In India, 7 censuses have been carried out so far by the Government of India since independence. The last census was conducted in 2011. The sequential census data helps to analyze the growth of population in a country very effectively. The term population growth indicates the change in the number of inhabitants of a country or area within a specified time period. The result can be expressed either as absolute numbers or as percentage change per year. Magnitude of increase in population can be explained in terms of absolute numbers added each year or decade. The process can be explained thus: population in 2001 means later population minus population in 1991 means earlier population is equal to absolute increase. Rate of population increase is another important factor. This is referred to as the annual growth rate. This rate is expressed in percentage per annum. At the start of the 20th century, the population of India was 2.38 million. This number has increased nearly 4 times in a period of a century. In 2011, the population of India has become 1.21 billion. The population of India grew at a very fast rate in the last 100 years. The population of India grew only by 1.5 times, while in the later half of the century, there has been a threefold increase in population. Till 1921, India had a mixed rate of population growth. That year was called as the year of Great Divide. Between 1921 to 1951, India underwent a moderate increase in population. The year 1951 was the beginning of increased population growth. India's population doubled between 1951 and 1981. The average annual growth of population in India was 2.14% during the 1980, while in the 1990s, the average annual growth of population was 1.93%. In 2001 census, out of the total of 10.2 million, 5.31 millions are males and 4.96 millions are females. The second aspect is current population of India. The census of India 2011, which started on 1st of April in 2010, is a historical landmark in Indian history. This will be largest census in human history till date ever done by any government in the world. Government of India will collect data from each and every household in the states and union territories of India. The census 2011 is the 15th national census of India undertaken by the government after a gap of 10 years. However, this year the government of India had added another task to prepare a national population register along with census data. Over the years, Indian census has been a reliable source of information on demography, economic activity, literacy and education, housing and household amenities, urbanization, fertility, scheduled caste and scheduled tribes, languages, religion, migration, disability and many other socio-cultural and demographic data in India. The work of population census has been divided into two phases. The first phase will cover house listing and housing census. This will be completed in the month of April and July in 2010. The dates are adjustable according to time and situation in a particular state and union territory. The second phase, which will start from 9th of February in 2011, will cover population enumeration throughout the country. The second phase of population census will finish on 28th February in 2011. In India, out of 1.21 billion people, 623.7 million are males and 586.5 millions are females. It is the second most populous country in the world, while China is on the top with over 1.35 billion people. The figures show that India represents almost 17.31% of the world's population, which means out of 6 people on this planet live in India. Although the crown of the world's most populous country is on China's head for decades, India is all set to take the numerous position by 2030 with the population growth rate at 1.58%. India is predicted to have more than 1.53 billion people by the end of 2030. More than 50% of the India's current population is below the age of 25 and over 65% below the age of 35. About 72.2% of the population lives in some 638,000 villages and the rest 27.8% in about 5,480 towns and urban agglomerations. In 2009, the birth rate is 22.22 births per 1000 population, while death rate is 6.4 deaths per 1000 population. Fertility rate is 2.72 children born and infant mortality rate is 30.15 deaths per 1000 live births. India has the largest illiterate population in the world. The literacy rate of India as per 2011 population census is 74.04%, with male literacy rate at 82.14% and female at 65.46%. Kerala has the highest literacy rate at 93.91%, Mizoram at 88.80% is on the second position and Lakshadweep at 92.28% is on third position. Age composition is the population can be divided in accordance with categories of people of different age groups. Age composition of population is mostly shown in three broad age groups. Children below the working age means below 15 years, persons in the working age 15 to 59 years, old persons above the working age means 59 years. According to the 2011 census, the age composition as in children below the working age with 31.1%, person in the working age with 63.6% and old persons above the working age with 5.3%. This concluded that the persons in the working age is more populated than the other groups. Every year, India had more people than any other nation in the world. It is also a fact that the individual population of some of its states is equal to the total population of many countries. For example, population of Uttar Pradesh almost equals to the population of Brazil. It as per 2001 population census of India has 190 million people and the growth rate is 16.16%. The population of the second most populous state, Maharashtra, which has a growth rate of 9.42% is equal to the Mexico's population. Bihar with 8.07% is the third most populous state in India and its population is more than Germany's. West Bengal with 7.79% growth rate, Andhra Pradesh with 7.41% and Tamil Nadu with 6.07% are at 4th, 5th and 6th position respectively. The sex ratio is the number of females per 1000 males in the population. In India, the sex ratio is always favor of the males. In 2011, it stands at 933. Kerala with 1058 females per 1000 males is the state with the highest female sex ratio. Pondicherry with 1001 is second, while Chandigarh with 990 and Tamil Nadu with 986 are at third and fourth places respectively. Haryana with 861 as the lowest female sex ratio. Occupational structure is the distribution of a country's population in accordance with its various occupations of a country. The various occupations may be classified into three types are primary activities, secondary activities and tertiary activities. In primary activities include agriculture, animal husbandry, forestry, fishery, etc. In secondary activities include manufacturing industries, constructions, etc. In tertiary activities include transport, communications, banking services, etc. In occupation structure, the economy, development and occupation structure are closely related. In which country have larger number of the population is involved in secondary and tertiary activities. That country have higher level income. Lower levels of income are observed in countries where people are mostly engaged in primary activities. Example, agriculture. In India, the proportion of population dependent on agriculture was around 57% in 2011. The proportion of population that is engaged in secondary and tertiary sectors was around 23% and 20% respectively. People have now become engaged in secondary and tertiary activities. This is due to more industrialization and urbanization in the last half of the country. We can observe this trend in Kerala, Karnataka, Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu. The population is still heavily dependent on agriculture in less developed states like Bihar, Orissa and Uttar Pradesh. The third aspect is the factors determining in population change. Several factors are responsible for change in population. The three major factors that determine population change are birth rate, death rate and migration. Changes in population are caused by births, deaths and the movement of people into and out of a country. The number of children born called the fertility of a population. This increases the size of the population. The number of deaths called mortality. This decreases the population. Migration means the number of people entering or leaving a country. This can cause either an increase or a decrease in population. A natural increase in population of a country comes from a greater number of births than deaths. The main reason behind the high growth rate of India's population is the ever growing gap between the birth rate and the death rate. After India's freedom, there has been a decrease in both the birth rate and the death rate. But it is the death rate which has seen a drastic decline. In the beginning of the 20th century, India has recorded a birth rate of 49.2 per thousand. This declined to 26.1 per thousand at the end of 20th century. On the other hand, the death rate declined to 8.7 per thousand from 42.6 per thousand in the same time period. The decline in the death rate has been due to the success achieved in control of epidemics such as smallpox and plague that attacks Indian population time and again, increasing public health measures and advancement in medical known how in the last 30 years. Birth rate is still on a high as Indian society still follows ancient norms of early marriages, no or wrong birth control measures and ignorance due to lack of education. Migration, a major factor of population change, can be both internal, that is within the country, or external, that is between different countries. There is no change in population size caused by internal migration, but it surely affects the population of an area. This increase in population density is obviously easy to observe in cities as internal migration is mostly from rural to urban areas. Increase in population in rural areas and mechanization of agriculture leading to less demand for labor are two major reasons for migration from rural to urban areas. Vast and varied employment avenues, good education and better living standards lure the rural folks to the towns and cities. As the industrial and service sectors are expanding in urban areas, the change of employment is more real. This can cause the urban population increased. The metropolitan cities like Delhi, Mumbai and Kolkata have received many migrants from rural areas. These migrants are gradually getting absorbed in the adjoining urban agglomerations. If they lack space or facilities in the core cities, the cities are growing much faster than the population the city economy can support. The fourth aspect is population projections. India is projected to overtake China as the world's most population nation by 2030. India's population growth has raised concerns that it would lead to widespread unemployment and political instability. Population projections for India anticipate that the country's population will reach 1.5 to 1.8 billion by 2050. While only the Population Reference Bureau has published projections, out of 2100, they expect India's population at the close of the 21st century to reach 1.853 to 2.181 billion. Thus, India is expected to become the first and only country on the planet that will reach the population of more than 2 billion. This recall that China's population is likely to drop after reaching a peak of about 1.46 billion in 2030, and US is not ever likely to see a billion. The last but not the least aspect is the national population policy. Since 1952, India has implemented the national population policy to control and stabilize the population. It would lead to the country's development and also bring a qualitative change in the people's lives. Already the death rate has been reduced to a large extent in the past. The NPP focused on the birth control as family planning. The National Population Policy, it is also called as NPP 2000, is now working towards stabilizing the population by 2045. According to the NPP 2000, this is to be done by raising the age limit for marriage, making school education compulsory up to age of 14 years, free and compulsory, reducing the dropouts at primary and secondary level. NPP 2000 and adolescents have been identified as one of the most important sections of the population who need priority attention. Other than their nutritive needs, the NPP 2000 is aiming on other adolescent problems such as protection from unwanted pregnancies, protection from sexual transmitted diseases. NPP has made plans to implement programs that would be popularize delayed marriage, encourage delayed pregnancies, educate adolescents about risks caused by unprotected sex, make contraceptive services accessible and cheaper, provide food supplements and nutritional services, strengthen law to restrain child marriages. Lastly, I concluded by saying about this topic is the population is total number of persons living in a geographical area at a particular time. Most of the world's nations take a census of population at regular and nearly regular intervals. There are three major factors that determine the population change or birth rate, death rate and migration. According to the census of India, sex ratio is always has been in favor of males. Thank you.